to show you is one way to put a halter on a horse that's out in the pasture. Now we're going to pretend like she's in the pasture, but we're standing next to a hitching post. If you come up on the left-hand side of your horse, approach him on the left-hand side, because this is the normal side for the human to approach from. That's where we mount in general. We're going to put the rope over the horse's neck. All right, this is giving us a tool to grab in case the horse moves while we're trying to put the halter on. Now, we want to try to approach the horse as a non-predator. So if you hold your halter like a wheelbarrow, left hand on the left bar, right hand on the right bar, and you come underneath their chin and put their nose through the hole, reach up over with the other piece or the strap and buckle it in. And then we're going to hook our hook on the bottom and then collect our rope up. That's the most non-predator way to actually put on your halter. A lot of people like to approach their horse from this direction with their halter and come at him. But see, that's an attack for a horse. That means you're a predator attacking their face with this object. Even if they had it on 500 times, that doesn't mean they're going to like it. And some people will say, well, I've got those halters that just slide over the ears to make it easier for me. Well, sometimes what's easier for you is not so easy for the person or the thing that you're dealing with. Horses don't like you to be playing with their ears all the time. And when you put those straps over, sometimes it's kind of bothersome to them. Not that they can't do it. But if you come behind and never touch their ears at all, there's other times you can touch their ears, like when you're having to clip them or whatever you're doing. So that's the best way I can describe to you to do this in a non-predator form, to where the horse and you are partners instead of opposing one another. All right, we're bringing our horse from the pasture to the hitching post. And if you'll notice, I'm giving my horse a little bit of rope. Most people tend to be taught to do this with their horse. Like somehow, because they've got their hand right next to their head, they're able to control this 1,000 pounds better. You're better controlled if you're relaxed, and the horse knows that you're relaxed and you're giving them some space. They're going to react to you much better. Okay, when we get to the hitching post, and you may not have a hitching post at home, but I'm just going to wrap this around here one time. It's better for your horse to get loose than it is to tie that rope and then drag this hitching post down the street, in case you have a horse that's not really good at this yet. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to brush the horse, because you want to brush your horse before you ride him. So I'm going to take my curry comb, because it rained yesterday, so she's really dirty, and I'm going to brush the hair just about like if you have a big dog. Okay, you want to brush him with the hair. Alright, now I'm going to start saddling the horse. In case you just bought a horse, you've never had a horse, you don't know how to saddle, or you go someplace where they have valet saddlers, to where you don't ever have to do it. At some point you want to learn how to saddle your own horse. So, we've already brushed the horse. Now we want to put the blanket on. Now we're a dude ranch, so we ride Western. If you have English, you'll have a little blanket, but not as big as this. Alright, we want to take the blanket off the saddle, and we want to hold it upright. Now upright would be all the patches are up and all the colors are up. The dirty, hairy side, or what I call the Clint Eastwood side, it goes towards the horse. Alright, the little bitty patch on this thing is the front, so that goes in my left hand, and the back goes in my right hand. I'm going to stand next to the horse and turn counterclockwise and lift my blanket onto the horse. Now you may say, why does he do that? Well, because I'm practicing to put my saddle on the exact same way, so I don't have to use my back. Alright, now, we have our saddle set up so everything's on top, so you don't have like an octopus you're throwing over the back of the horse. So once again, to put the saddle on, I'm going to take the front of my left hand, the rear of my right hand, lift it up, and I'm going to stand next to the horse at their shoulder. I'm going to put the saddle on my right hip. I'm going to spin very quickly counterclockwise and create centrifugal force, the same way you would throw a frisbee. This allows me not to use my back. So I'm going to spin quickly and lift. And see, I didn't have to use my back. Now if you have a light saddle, it won't matter as much, but if you have a heavy saddle, that really helps you. Now that our saddle and blanket is on the horse in approximately the correct space, I'm going to let down one thing on this side first. That's my tie strap, or latigo, whatever you want to call it. I want that just to hang. Now I'm going to walk around to the other side and let down everything so I can see it. A lot of people will stand here and just toss it off. But when you do that, it can get twisted or tied up, and then you cinch up and try to ride and your horse throws you off. So we want to go over there and look. It only takes a few seconds. So what you want to do is you want to put your hand on your horse, walk as close as you can to the rear end, and get onto this side. This way I can see it. So I'm going to let down my stirrup. I'm going to let down my girth. And I'm going to let down my breast collar. See, part of my breast collar is even under the saddle by accident. So I want it to all lay down flat. I don't want this to happen if I throw it off from the other side. I don't want this to happen to me where my stuff doesn't work out and I actually tie the saddle with something underneath the girth. Remember, your horse is like you are. If something's wrong, they're not going to like it. So you want to look at it. Once you look at it and it's right, then you can go back to the other side. All right, and as you walk around your horse again, put your hand on their backside so they know you're back there. The reason you do that is a horse cannot see approximately 3 feet behind them. So as long as you touch them, they know it's you back there and not some strange object. All right, the first thing we want to do is tie on the saddle. The main thing that you tie the saddle on is the girth, or some people call it a girt. I always call it a girth. So I'm going to reach down and grab my girth. Now I'm going to tie this girth together. So I'm going to take my latigo and go down through the metal hoop. And then I'm going to come back up where I started. I'm going to take the end of my latigo and I'm going to go down through the metal hoop on the saddle and come towards the front of the horse. As you can see, my left hand is going towards the front of the horse. Then I'm going to make a number 4 out of my latigo. Like this. See how it looks like a number 4? From the end now, this is the only time I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up through the metal hoop. Just like that. And then I'm going to go down through the loop I made. Like that. Now this is a single tie on a saddle. So I'm going to undo this. I'm going to show you what the majority of people do. As they run down through the metal hoop, they're going to go back down through the metal hoop. And they're going to come back down through the lower middle hoop. What that's called is a double cinch. Now the reason people do this is they say, my saddle's got to remain tight or else I might fall off. Well, if you're depending on the saddle to keep you on, then that's not a good rider. But what people do is they actually will hurt their horse, because when they start pulling, see my horse's reaction right now? We don't do this here. That's why she's looking at me. I'm going to pull again, because I still don't think it's safe enough to keep me on. I'm going to pull again. All right? And as I keep pulling, see my horse is already telling me I don't like that at all. I'm going to keep pulling. See, I'm getting it tighter and tighter. And if they start to learn to suck air, I'm going to then start having to kick them with my knee. And they're going to end up reaching around and trying to bite me every time I saddle them. Learn that this is not good for the horse, and it doesn't keep you on, because you can still move your saddle off the horse and fall off, even if that's as tight as it can be. So that's not the best way to have a relationship with your horse. And neither is it something you want to trust to keep your balance. Now I'm going to put it back to the single tie. Like that. See, there's still a lot of room in there. I'll tighten that up in a few minutes again. Now, I'm going to let my stirrup down. I'm going to move to the back and put on my tail croup. Now, you may not use a tail croup where you are, but we ride in the mountains. So the saddles can try to slide forward. So that's what this is like a brake for the saddle. Alright, so we're going to lay the tail croup on the far side away from us. We're going to stroke the tail because this piece of leather goes under the tail. So we're going to stroke the tail and lift up the tail. We're going to bring the leather through and then let go of the tail. And if we got any hair caught, we're going to take that out. Then we're going to belt buckle this side up. Okay? And I'm going to get it where it's even on both sides so that it should have a little bit of a snap to it. What this does is it does not allow the saddle to go too far forward coming down the mountain, which would allow the girth to get up against the front legs and rub them raw. Okay, now, I have one last thing to put on, and that's my breast collar. Now, my breast collar is connected on the far side. Now, a lot of people will just reach under here, grab it, and bring it up and tie it on and finish it. But how do we know it's not twisted? Now, we did go over there earlier to make sure it wasn't twisted, but it could have moved since we started saddling up. So we still want to have our eyes on it. So once again, put your hand on your horse and walk over here. You're going to grab the same piece that's already tied on. We're going to bring our breast collar underneath the front of the horse. See, we're walking right underneath the front of the horse like that. Then we're going to belt buckle it into the D-ring right here. I can get it in the hole. There we go. All right. That's how it should rest. And then we have one last thing we need to hook up. This is just really an ornamental, like a tie is. But we want to go between the legs onto the front ring of the girth. That kind of finishes that apparatus right there. We're going to now put the bridle on the horse so that we have a steering wheel. And what I'm going to show you is basically what one of the famous people teach, and that's John Lyons. I do it slightly different than him, but it's very much close to what he teaches. I'm going to hold the bridle with my thumb like this. I'm going to come up over the horse's forehead a little bit. I'm going to cradle the bit. I have to get it unhooked though. I'm going to cradle the bit in my hand. And as I come up, I'm going to open her mouth with my thumb a little bit, and I'm going to pull up with this hand and not push the bit in the mouth. Then I'm going to put one ear in and then the opposite ear. The last thing I want to do, since I'm going to be mounting by myself, I'm going to put my stirrup back up and I'm going to tighten my girth one last time. Now, in order not to over tighten the girth, what I teach is I put 2 fingers there and 2 fingers on the outside strap that's going through the ring. And I take both my hands and work simultaneously together with my fingertips. Okay? That means I'm using just fingertips to tighten this up instead of my entire body with my hands. That ensures that I can't over tighten this girth, because I still want to be able to take my hand and slide it through there. That allows the horse to breathe the whole time you're riding instead of being in pain from being too tight. Because you're going to teach him to suck air if you keep tightening it too tight. Alright, now I'm going to let my stirrup back down. And once again, because I'm by myself, I'm going to release myself from the hitching post. Alright, now I'm ready to mount my horse. Now, before you do any kind of riding, let's say this is your first day riding a horse by some chance, you got to make sure this horse is fully trained, ready to be ridden by a novice. Don't buy a new horse that has no training and try to put all this stuff on him and ride him, because you're going to be in a disaster zone. So that's the first thing we want to make sure of. Now when I mount the horse, I'm going to put my left foot in this stirrup. Not all the way in, but about to the balls of my feet. I'm going to grab the near rein and shorten it a little bit so it can be my brake in case I need it. And then I'm going to grab the neck hair, and then I'm going to bounce without pulling on the saddle. Okay? Unless you have a spotter that can hold your saddle, like we do here. But I'm doing this by myself, assuming that you're by yourself. So I'm going to bounce and propel myself up, and then move my leg over to the other side, and reach down and put my foot in that stirrup. And then I'm ready to go riding. Okay, let's assume you just got back from the ride and you're by yourself, so you can't really clip yourself in like I would do for you. So what you want to do is you want to make sure your right foot is out of the stirrup. Make sure it's free and clear. Since you're by yourself, you can take your left rein and just collect it up just a little bit. Grab the horn, lean forward, and pivot your leg across the horse without coming down. Then you're going to come down to the ground and then remove your left foot from the stirrup. Then you can clip your horse in. And then we'll start the process of unsaddling. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the bridle. So we're going to drop the bridle off the horn so that it's out of the way, and then bring it over the horse's head. Okay? Then we're going to take off the cheek strap. Then I'm going to put my right hand on the halter, and my left hand is I'm going to use my thumb, and I'm going to come off this near ear. Now, Blanca, you behave yourself. Now come off this near ear. See, she's lifting her head, and that's not good, so I want there. I'm going to come off the far ear, and then I'm going to keep her head down while it comes out. See how it didn't clank the teeth? That's what you want. Now, her head was a little higher than I wanted, but not every horse is going to behave itself 100% of the time. Now I'm just going to get rid of my bridle. Then I'm going to start taking the saddle off. I'm going to do it in reverse because the girth is alpha omega. It's the first thing on and the last thing off. Don't get that confused to where you don't do it right. So I'm going to take off my tail croup first on the near side where I'm at. Out from underneath the tail, I'm going to bring it all the way up to the horn. And that's if you have a breast collar because you ride them, or a tail croup because you ride the mountains. Now I'm going to move to the breast collar. I'm going to undo this side. So it's just basically in reverse. I'm going to remember my parachute cord. I call it a parachute cord because it sounds stupid, so I might remember it. If not, then the saddle will be hooked to the horse's leg. So when I hook my parachute cord, I'm going to reach over the neck and grab the breast collar and drag it to the top of the saddle. Then I'm going to take this stirrup and put it in the seat. All right? Now I'm going to untie my girth. It's just in reverse. Put my strap up in the seat. Now I'm going to walk around my horse. Remember, put your hand on him. I'm going to take my girth and put it in the seat. And my last stirrup, I'm going to hook on the horn. Now the reason we do that is because it keeps everything up here, so the next time I swing my saddle up, this stirrup will keep everything from flying off and hitting the horse or my neighbor, if I have one. If I hit him, I won't have a neighbor. All right, now that we have our saddle completely unhitched from the horse, all it's doing is sitting on there. Now, most people will try to take the saddle and lift it up off the horse. There's no sense in doing that. That's just going to hurt your back. So take your right hand and hold the blanket. Take your left hand and take the back of the saddle and slightly pull on it until it moves cockeyed position. All right, this will allow you to just turn it into your body. So you're going to take your hands, grab the saddle, turn your wrist like this, let it come to you, and then turn clockwise and set it on whatever you have. If it's a hitching post or the back of a pickup truck, whatever you're coming from. Then take your saddle blanket, turn it clockwise, flip it upside down because you want the sweat to dry off of the blanket. After that, if you're really going to be friends with your horse, you'll take the brush and brush them a little bit, and then you'll take them back home where you got them. So that should help you saddle and unsaddle your horse in a pretty good way to where you and your horse are buddies. Smile.